Alright, in this video we are going to solve a system of equations with two conic equations. So my first equation is going to be 8x squared minus 80x plus 5y plus 178 equals 0. And my second equation, negative 8x squared plus 5y squared plus 80x plus 55y minus 78 equals 0. Okay, if I look at these two equations, if you notice the x squareds, I have, well, first of all, our first equation is a parabola. How do I know? One squared term. All right, second one's a hyperbola. How do I know? The x squared and the y squared are different, and one of them is negative, one is positive. Okay? So I have a parabola and a hyperbola, and I could have one solution, I could have 0 solutions, I could have 2, 3, 4. All right. Now, in looking at this particular one, we have a positive 8x squared and a negative 8x squared, so this one's pretty nice. I am going to, for my first step, add the two equations together. In other words, combine all like terms. So this is like doing elimination. I'm eliminating the x squareds, okay? So that cancels out. I will have 5y squared. Now, negative 80x and 80x, those cancel out, so that's really nice. My x's cancel out. And then I have 5y plus 55y gives me plus 60y. Okay, 178 plus negative 78 gives me plus 100 equals 0. Now, I am going to factor out a 5 from each of these. In other words, I'm dividing the whole thing by 5. Okay? So, if I divide out a 5, I've got y squared plus 12y plus 20, okay, equals 0. Now, divide by 5, so I'm left with y squared plus 12y plus 20 equals 0. Okay, so this 5 here is like fluff, okay? It just goes away when we divide everything by the 5. Now, I'm going to factor this. This is factorable. I have, let's see, I have a y and a y. Everything's plus, so plus, plus. And numbers that multiply to give me 20, but when I add them I get 12. Well, 2 and 10. 2 times 10 makes 20, and 2 plus 10 makes 12. Okay, so I have y plus 2 equal to 0, y plus 10 equal to 0. So subtracting 2, I have y equals negative 2. Subtracting 10, I have y equals negative 10. Now, those are my y values. I now have to find x, the value of x, when y is each of those. Okay, so if I were to take and I just have to plug this into one of my equations to find a value of x. Okay, so let's start with the negative 2. I'm just going to change colors so we know what we're working with. So I'm going to use the first equation, y less x's and y's. Okay, so I have 8x squared minus 80x plus 5 times negative 2 plus 178 equals 0. All right, so I have 8x squared minus 80x. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10 plus 178 equals 0. Well, negative 10 plus 178 gives me 168. So 8x squared minus 80x plus 168 equals 0. Okay, now let me get my calculator out. 168 divided by 8. Oh, awesome, awesome, awesome. All three of these are divisible by 8, so I'm dividing out an 8. I'm left with x squared minus 10x and plus 21 equals 0. Divide by the 8, and the 8 cancels out. So I have x squared minus 10x plus 21 equals 0. Factor, I have x, let's see, x equals 0. This says I have the same sign, they're both negative. Numbers that multiply to give me 21, but you add them, you get a 10, or 7 and 3. So 7 and 3. So if x minus 7 equals 0, that means that x will equal 7, and x minus 3 equals 0. Add 3, and we get x equals 3. Okay, so what does that tell me? That tells me part of my solution is going to be 7, negative 2, and 3, negative 2. Now I have to plug in negative 10 for the y's. So I have 8x squared minus 80x plus 5 times negative 10 plus 178 equals 0. All right, so 5 times negative 10, I'm going to just combine all this because I'm low on room. 5 times negative 10 is negative 50. If I take negative 50 plus 178, that gives me 128. So I have 8x squared minus 80x plus 128 equals 0. Why'd I write a 2? I have no clue. I even said equals 0. Okay, now if I divide 128 by 8, oh, I get 16. Nice, nice, nice. So I'm going to divide everything by 8, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to say divide by 8. Why? Because I'm low on room. No other reason. Otherwise, I'd show all my steps like I did up here, okay? So I'm left with x squared. 80 divided by 8 is 10. So minus 10x. 128 divided by 8 is 16. So plus 16 equals 0. Okay, factor. So I have an x and an x. Numbers that multiply to 16, but when you add them, you get a 10. Well, they got to multiply to give you a positive 16. So that means they both have to have the same sign. they have to add to a negative 10, so both are minus. Well, how about 2 and 8? 2 plus 8 makes 10, and 2 times 8 is 16. So 2 and 8. So that means x minus 2 equals 0. So x will equal 2, and x minus 8 will equal 0. So x will equal 8. So my other two solutions are 2, comma, and remember what we substituted was the negative 10. So negative 10 and 8, negative 10. So here are my 4 solutions right here. I have 4 points where they cross. 7, negative 2, 3, negative 2, 2, negative 10, and 8, negative 10. All right, have fun with these. They're a lot of work, I know, but you can do this.